going to be looking at the creative economy, Nigeria's creative economy, with a new report from NEC Live. It's called Growth Trends and Opportunities in the Nigerian Creative and Entertainment Industry. Who better to talk to us about this than Olisa Adibua, a seasoned on-air personality, seasoned television producer, seasoned TV producer, presenter, creative industries entrepreneur. Olisa, it's great to have you on the show.
It's good to be here. You make me sound like some sort of chef. I'm seasoned. I've been cooking.
You've been cooking.
I've been cooked.
You know, good to have you. Good morning. Look, I wanted to ask you, this report here talks about 7 challenges that were for like a decade now have been facing the creative industry. They talk about piracy. They talked about talent sourcing, copyright infringement. Do you still see those problems existing today?
They're still there.
Yeah.
The problems are still there, but it's the different percentages, how you look at it in a pie chart.
Yeah.
I would say the biggest problem we have, I mean, you don't have to be, a rocket scientist to understand. The number one is funding.
Yeah.
Access to funding, whether you're in the music industry, fashion, film, television, that's always been the bane. And that has got bigger over the last 10 years. And then you look at infrastructure. Infrastructure is not really there, and distribution, which really is part of the infrastructure that you need in place. That's not there either. The piracy has diminished a little bit, but it's still there. I mean, even in more, more commercially viable environments, America, Europe, the Far East, piracy is still there. But it's a digital piracy. But it's not as rampant as it was, but it's still there. Yeah. People are still stealing. So I would say, yes, the problems are there, but they've mutated into now funding really, because funding is really the crucial part. Once you get the funding, everything else falls in place. Yeah. That means that you can have a plan of action. You can know where you're going to put whether it's a film, whether it's a song, or whether it's a TV show. You know you're going to go to certain, streaming platforms. You're going to go to certain markets. So we have progressed, but we have a long way to go still. But
from this NEC Live report, they said 64% of the people they surveyed said that is the stakeholders they talked to, they said that the problems have either gone away or they've been diminished. So are you in the 35% minority that says they're still there?
I'm definitely there. They didn't survey me. I mean, where are they? Please, I'll leave my address afterwards, please. No, I mean, I don't know who they surveyed, but the reality is that the average entrepreneur in the creative industry, creative economy, will tell you that he or she, the problem is getting access to money to produce, getting investors on board. Shout out to certain, I always give props anytime I'm on a platform anywhere, at events and everything. I give shout outs to people like Afri-Eximbank, to Professor Ben and Madam Kanayo. I give shout outs to Uche at Bank of Industry. They've done a lot to help the sector. But they can't be the only ones. They're alone right now. Yeah. So what we need right now is for us to understand that the creative industry was not built around the world by government. It was built by the private sector.
Bang on.
All government does is to create policies, to create incentives, tax rebates for us to operate. Yes, government can give intervention sometimes, but we know what happened to that.
Right.
Right. Last time government gave intervention, it ended up in a few hands. Right. Nothing came of it. It didn't trickle down. It has to trickle down. So, it's good to see that so many things are going on. We have a new minister. We have a new ministry, which is a bit progress.
Okay. Speaking of which, I want to quote the minister. Now, I know you've heard this in the headlines. In fact, on the morning show today, we've had discussions on this, where she talked about getting, here it is. So we have developed a robust economic plan aimed at creating millions of jobs, supported by comprehensive skill training programs. Our objective is to contribute 10% to the nation's GDP, expanding sectoral GDP, that's for the creative industry, to a remarkable 100 billion by 2030. That's Hanatu Musa, who's the Minister of Arts, Culture and Creative. Olisa, it's only 6 years from now. 2023 is gone. What do you make of this? You just said just now that it is the private sector that grows this, and it's not government. So,
Okay.
Say your mind, though.
Big up to the minister.
Okay.
Well done to her.
Yeah.
She's not the ideal person. She wouldn't have been my first choice for that position. You know, but like Shakespeare says, we have to make virtue of necessity.
Lovely.
So she's not, right now it's very early, but she's making the right noises. She's taking the right actions. It's a very ambitious plan, but it's short in detail. How do you intend to achieve that? Do you, you know, it's one thing to go around and say, I'm going to empower X amount, I'm going to do skills acquisition, I'm going to do training. When you're done with that, where do those workers go to? Where are the jobs for them? You know, it's not as if there are jobs waiting for people in the creative sector. My advice, if I might be so bold as to suggest...
You have the experience, you can give this
for
advice.
For her to look at, to go back and sit with her numbers people and say, look, how can we generate money locally first and then outside Nigeria secondly? There are corporations here who are ready to invest in the creative sector. Some are already doing it in a very, very haphazard or informal manner, where they have foundations and other things that are intervening. The big banks, the insurance companies, the manufacturers, the telcos, the oil and gas people, construction. So if you pick 100 of the big company with the biggest turnover on a yearly basis and say, listen, let's have a minimum of 100 million to 1 billion every year from each company, but depending on your turnover, and say to them, if you put this money into so-and-so to fund the creative industry, we're going to give you a tax rebate at the end of the year. We're going to factor in that money that you put in, whether you put in 100 million or 500 million naira or 1 billion naira. So imagine the impact that would have. And then you have to tell them, look, listen, this money, don't give it to us, because private sector does not want to give government the money.
Right.
Because they know the money will enter voicemail. And, you know, so they run the funds. You know, go to them and say, listen, there's money here, you can have it. And the money for our sector cannot just be loans. There has to be grants. There has to be grants. And then secondly, every morning I turn on the TV, I see bet this, bet that, bet who, bet where, bet what.
Yeah.
What happened to lottery funds?
Right.
What happened to all these bet? I have friends that own betting companies, and they're always complaining of the huge amount of tax that they pay. Where does this money go?
Right.
In other climes, we don't have to go far. South Africa, the lottery fund there goes towards supporting the creative and arts sector. It goes towards supporting sports. In the UK, the same thing. So where does our money go? Who uses it? So you need to look at these people and say, listen, let us get some of that funding. Let us get some of that funding and put it into the creative sector, put it into the sports sector. Because the creative sector is suffering like the sports.
Right.
And I look at sports as entertainment as well. It's part of our sector, sports.
It is. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's number one. And then number two. But thirdly, you need to look at the money, that potential money that's outside there. There are a lot of international bodies who want to invest in Nigeria, but they're looking at the government for the last 8 years has been so erratic in terms of your policy, in terms of your decisions. Somebody wakes up on a Monday morning and comes up with this. By Wednesday, they received a lot of drubbing. They go back and rescind the order. So what happens? You need somewhere a policy, a plan, whether it's 5 years, 4 years, 8 years, 10 years, to run, so that people will know that, yes, this country is serious. Right now, a lot of international big players are here. Universal Music is here. Sony Music is here. Virgin is here. So they're all coming in. Netflix is here. Amazon Prime, they're all here. So Gamma just came in. So obviously, those international people are seeing something that we are not.
Right.
And then lastly, we have to encourage our private sector, high net worth individuals that the value is here, that they can afford to put their money here without worrying about the risk. So for many years, I've been speaking about this, you know, and I got tired. So I said, you know, Olisa, don't be a hypocrite. Go out there and practice what you are preaching. So right now, me personally and other people, we're getting together with the money people.
Okay.
So we get into bed with them. We say, okay, listen, you know where the money is at. And the people who have the money trust you. So you don't know our industry, we know. Let's marry. Let's align together and do this properly. They said, okay, yes, we've been waiting for people to come, But people have been coming to us for themselves only.
Right.
Not for the industry.
For the industry. Good point. Good point. Okay, I gotta ask you about music. I have to get to this. Music and movies, because at least I don't know. It looks. I don't know if there's a little hype here or these numbers are, these numbers are real. The size of the music industry. So if you look here, we've got the top 3 music streaming platforms in Nigeria, according to Neck Live. They're saying YouTube, Boomplay, and Spotify. But Olisa, YouTube is American. Boomplay is headquartered in, I think, Hong Kong. Spotify is Swedish. What's your take? Don't we need an indigenous platform here?
It's painful.
Oh, yeah.
There are some, and there are more coming, local platforms, but they're not on the level. For some reason, people trust the international platforms more. Yeah. Because they pay, and they're reliable. So, and then also, you find that a central theme of what I've been saying over the years is not just about funding, but also about local ownership. That is crucial. You see, you cannot make money if you don't control the back end of the sector you're in. You have to be a giant. You have to be like a checkpoint where nothing can happen without you being there. You have to position yourself along the value chain. Find your place, find your niche, and be there. That nobody can move in your sector without you being a part of it. No money can come in without you being a part of it. So that's what we have to do. Streaming platforms are a very crucial part of the revenue stream for the entertainment industry, whether it's music, whether it's film, television. So if you don't own that part, you're not serious. So there's other parts. We don't own the production is one, distribution and marketing, yes. There's streaming platforms, and then the global distribution platform as well. And then the final end product, which is where the music is played, the venues. Taylor Swift releases an album, let's say in January 2024. Yeah. The album she's been working on it in production. That's boom. The album is out. Her record label takes it, markets it, promotes it, and distributes it. It's on streaming platforms. Where does Taylor Swift end up playing massive concert venues? Right. We don't have that here. There's so many things we don't have, which is what I'm saying about the funding is crucial. There are people out there who have great platforms, but then they're not monetized enough. They don't have the power to pay Wizkid or Burna Boy what his streaming should be. Okay. You understand? Yeah. So if they paid everybody what they should be, they'll go bankrupt. Yeah. So we need to say, okay, who are the people that are along the value chain? How do we empower them so they can play in the same market as a Netflix? You don't have to be number one in the streaming market. Netflix has, 220 million subscribers globally? Yeah. They're number one. Number 20, you can be number 20 with 5 million or 1 million. Yeah. Imagine 1 million subscribers every month paying you 500 naira. Right, gotcha. You're good. Yeah. Just as long as you minimize your overheads. Yeah. So we need to understand local ownership and funding. Yeah. But that's it. It's a sad story, but those are things we need to sort out. Yeah. Okay, look, you mentioned the Wizkids and the Burna Boys and so on. We celebrate them a lot in terms of what they're putting Afrobeats on the map and what they represent for Nigeria. But I want to get your thoughts on the fact that these artists, as you just said, are playing at international venues. They are earning foreign exchange. They're doing well, but does that money, it doesn't come back here, right? So are they not more or less international artists? Or are we still celebrating them as Nigerian artists? The Nigerian artists in that, the way you have an ambassador. Right. They are the shop window that market Nigeria. Yeah. So they're doing well, and I like them for that. Because of people like Burna, Wizkid, David, Rema, Tiwa Savage, Yemi Alade, you name all of them. They are there, and people are having conversations. Nigeria is looking good. It's looking like, okay, we are the headquarters, the epicenter of everything that's musical coming out of Africa. No disrespect to the rest of Africa. They're all doing great stuff. Yeah. I travel around the continent a lot, so I see a lot of great music. But ours, we are more aggressive in our marketing style. And so people are taking us seriously. I've had conversations with people calling me up. This business you spoke to me about 3 years ago. People are getting serious. So, you know, people call me about Burna Boy turning down $5 million. I said, okay, I don't know. I was not there. But, you know, he said, so there's that kind of money in this business? I said, yes, there is. But we've been saying that to you for the last 10, 20 years, but you don't listen. So now, they make money abroad. The money gets taxed abroad. So what comes here is just a little trickle, a little tip of the iceberg. Wizkid or Burna or David will have his own, you know, infrastructure, his own team around him. They will benefit. His family, his friends, and his business associates. But that's where it ends. Yes, David, if you look at the pyramid type, David will be up there. There'll be David, his management team, his lawyers, his accountants, his designers, his producers, his songwriters. So there's a whole ecosystem built around one guy.
Yeah.
But that is, and David is probably responsible for maybe 100 to 200 families making an income. From his driver to security to his bouncers. There's a whole bunch of people. But there's too few of them.
Right.
So we have, if you look at it, we probably have maybe 15 to 20 artists who we can say are making an imprint around the world. But that's too few. It's just like we need to get a deluge. So the money doesn't come here like that. Yes, they make money here locally, but that's just the small money. The real money that they make from shows, from streaming, from endorsements is outside the country.
Gotcha. Well, let me end on movies. You know, there's a lot said about Nollywood being the second biggest movie industry after Hollywood, ahead of Bollywood. I kind of want to challenge that here, Olisa, because, so cinema revenue from the Cinema Exhibitors Association of Nigeria, at least between 2018 to 2022, in Naira terms, 25.6 billion, in dollar terms, 65 million. But I just want to show you one movie. This is a Bollywood movie, I think it's called Pathan, all right? And this film has made $128 million just this year. It was released in January worldwide. So Bollywood films are being released globally in US theaters, competing with other films. So, you know, is Nollywood that big? I mean, in terms of how do you see this?
Nollywood, you know, there's always been that talk about Nollywood being number 2 after Hollywood.
Right.
I've never believed that talk. Simply because it's a scale. When you can produce 100 movies in 1 year, and when you put together the entire budget for those movies, it might not be the budget of 10 movies made in Bollywood that year.
Right.
So that's the scale I'm looking at, you know, and the power of those movies. Not just the production budget, the marketing budgets too. So we're not there, we're not competing enough yet. We have numbers, no doubt. India has more numbers than we do. I mean, there's some telephone networks in India with 400 million subscribers, that kind of stuff. So you need to look at it in terms of we need to wake up and say, okay, it's not about how many movies you make. It's about the life and the strength and the quality and the scale of the movies. You know, how many $1 million production films are made in a given year in Nigeria?
Right.
$1 million.
Yeah, I
don't think they're up to 10.
Not that many, right? Yeah.
I don't think they're in a given year. They won't be. We're now in end of the year. If you calculate now, I don't think up to 10 or $1 million movies were made. Budget each one made in Nigeria this year. So we have to be realistic, and we have numbers, but those numbers are not coming into play. Let me give you an example. Streaming platforms. We have more numbers than, let's say, South Africa. But South Africa stream more than us, but less people. Why is that? Nigerians don't stream local music, by the way. Nigerians in Nigeria.
Right.
The bulk of those streams you see on Spotify, iTunes, and whatnot, Apple, well, you name it, are from Nigerians and other people outside Nigeria, around the continent, out in diaspora. So we need to look at ourselves. You know, the stats are clear. We are not number 2. We are a distant number 3 at best when it comes to the movies. So we need to wake up and understand that. And then we need to galvanize both the local investors, the local practitioners, as well as the local audience to participate in not just streaming, but also cinemas as well.
Right.
Because they need help. You know, when you look at the numbers of how much a local movie makes, and you look at the numbers that we have, it doesn't make sense. But a lot of it is due to disposable income.
Gotcha.
So we have to be realistic.
Yeah.
What am I going to do first? Am I going to eat first? Or am I going to watch a movie?
Olisa Adibua, creative industries entrepreneur. Thank you so much for talking to us about this industry. We all want it to get better, and you've shared some great insights. So really appreciate your time joining us on the Global Business.
Thank you for having me, and you're doing an excellent job, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
I would have said it earlier, but it would look as if I was trying to toast you.
I appreciate you. Thanks for your time.